Let's start off the video with a question. Would you rather have 100 quarters? Would you rather have 10 $5 bills? Or would you rather have two $20 bills? I'll give you guys 5 seconds, but it should be pretty quick. Now that you have your answer, first one gives you $25, second one gives you $50, and the third one gives you $40. This means that taking the 10 $5 bills makes the most sense because it gives you the most value. What if we swap this to 100 pounds, 200 euros, or 300 won? I'm not going to make you guys do this one, but a bit more work. You could Google it and look at what the exchange rates are and see what the effective value of those different currencies would be. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the 3 things that you need to understand about points if you are someone who wants to play this game effectively. So everything and anything related to this that you need to know. The main purpose of the first 2 questions is that the value of the points you get are not purely based on the number of the points, it's the value that you can derive from said points. The reason this is important is because sometimes people tell me, wow, there's this 100,000 point sign-up offer, but you keep talking about this 50,000 point offer. Why are you doing that? And it's because in that situation, the 50,000 points still yield you more value. It's not about the number of points. It's not about the number of quarters you're getting. It's about how much value you're getting from each of these currencies. You need to pick the one that actually makes sense. That's going to be the first lesson of this video. Before we dive into the rest of the lessons of these different ideas that people should know about, if you are someone who wants to support our channel, give this video a thumbs up. Pretty easy way to let me know that you like content like this. The reason I feel like I need to do this video is because I feel like there's a lot of people who are confused, oftentimes people who are new. Diving into problem set number 2. Let's jump back into the questions. So if given the choice, instead of these dollar amounts, what if it was a dinner for 2 at Saison, which is a Michelin star restaurant in San Francisco, or French Laundry, any other high-end restaurant that you can think of that you want to slot in there, or a $100 bill, or 200 McChickens at McDonald's. For the purpose of this example, let's assume that McChickens are $1, just because I know pricing can be different depending on dollar menus and stuff. Before you click off the video, because you're probably confused at why we're talking about these things, this is probably the most accurate representation of credit card rewards. You have cash, which is cash back. You have these Michelin star meals, which are going to be those 5-star resorts, these aspirational properties, first class, business class. And then you have the McChickens, which is kind of the go-to solution if you want to get value, but if you want to maximize that value. I know some people in the comments are going to argue that, well, you could spend that $100 to buy groceries, which might yield more healthy food. I get that. That's not the point of this video and of this example. So which one of these makes the most sense? If you go down the list and you look at the value of the meal, you could easily say that the Michelin star meal is the best choice. But if you're someone who needs food, if you're trying to just get the most value from that bonus, then the McChickens is a good choice. If you're someone who needs cash to pay off debt, then the cash is a good choice, or maybe you want to invest that. This ties into something that I talk about in a lot of my videos. Your mileage may vary. So just because something is beneficial for me, it might not be beneficial for you, and same for you and someone else. I try to cover a lot of different options for different people, but obviously I do have biases towards what I want to do myself. So in my case, I'd probably lean towards the McChickens or towards those Michelin star meals because I feel like I can get more value there. So yes, $100, that's always nice, but would I rather have that meal that I otherwise probably wouldn't do, or I would have to save up and wait for a special occasion in order to drop that $1,000? We see this with points a lot, especially with different currencies that might not be good for certain things. So Delta is typically not good for business class and first class, but very good for economy. While some other currencies like American Airlines points might be really good for business class, especially with their partners like Etihad. So on one side, people might complain that Delta points are worthless because you can't fly anywhere in business class for less than 200,000 points round trip. And then on the other side, people who have AA points complain that they can't use them domestically because if you don't find good availability, you're going to be out of luck and you're paying a lot of points for economy. In a lot of ways, I can talk about the expected value of everything, but you need to pick the right cards for you, for your circumstances. Without any additional information on your circumstances though, I'm going to lean towards things that give you the most value in terms of the retail price. The main reason being that at least that's quantifiable, and when you can quantify things, you can at least compare them and be a bit better about analyzing it. The final question before we end off the video is, if I offer to sell you this for $100, would you buy it? Let's assume that the only constraint here is that you can't resell it, you have to use it. So depending on your circumstances, depending on how you're going to use it, it's either a very good purchase or kind of a stupid one. If you're someone who can't drink due to your religious stuff, if you're someone who doesn't drink because of addiction, if you're someone who just doesn't like whiskey, then it's a bad purchase, you wouldn't buy it. But if you're someone who likes alcohol, it still really depends on how you use it. Arguably, the best way to appreciate most high-end whiskeys is going to be having it neat. This means having it with nothing in there, maybe a drop or two of water to open up the flavors. On the flip side, if you're someone who is just mixing it with Coke, if you're just making it as part of a cocktail, that doesn't make that big of a difference compared to Red Label or pretty much any other cheap alcohol substitutes. That $100 purchase either got you something that other people are paying a lot of money for, that you got a substantial discount on, that you can appreciate due to the fact that you actually care about stuff like that, or it could have been a complete waste of money because you're not getting value from it. You might as well have bought Red Label or anything else. This ties into the last lesson that just because someone gives you points, just because they're signing up for a bonus, it might not be a good bonus for you if you're not going to use it in a way that extracts the most value. And again, you can do whatever you want with your points, you can do whatever you want with your alcohol, you can choose to mix it if you want, but it's just the idea that, and maybe this is a problem with me, I really want to maximize the value I'm getting from my points. Some people complain that Hilton points are only worth 0.4 cents per point, but it really depends on how you use it. If you look at some other people, even not people, crazy people like me, there's normal people who can get 0.3 cents to 0.9 cents, depending on where they use it and how they want to use it. Hopefully you like this video already if you are at this point of the video. The last question problems that we have is if someone offered you a Lamborghini Huracan, how much do those cost? For let's say $100,000, would you buy it? Let's assume that you can't resell it, so you either have to use it or you cannot use it, or I guess not buy it. This ties into the big question of what redemptions are going to be worth. Just because the retail price of something is $150,000 or $300,000 and you're paying less for it, is it something that you would have otherwise redeemed for? And can you really value that at its full retail price? So personally, I wouldn't buy that because I don't really want a car, but for other people, that's a dream car and it allows them to buy it at a price that they're comfortable paying. If something's worth $300,000 and they're getting it for $100,000 and they otherwise would have paid $250,000, I would argue that they're happily getting $250,000 in value and they're kind of arbitraging it. On the flip side, for someone who doesn't want a car, even if it was $30,000, and remember that we can't resell it, you have to use it, then you might not care anyways because you have to deal with parking, you have to deal with maintenance and gas and everything else, that it might not be worth it. I think we can get into a lot of nooks and crannies. Maybe you own it, but you rent it out. Maybe you end up putting it on Turo or using it as a way to grow your business because now you have a Lamborghini. But the idea is that it just really depends on you. And I think valuations is still going to be a big question mark depending on your circumstances, depending on what you care about. For a lot of people who are new to credit cards and even people who have credit cards, cashback ones, moving into point systems, points are very confusing. How much are they worth? Should I take A or B? Should I do this? Is this a good redemption? Is this not a good redemption? There's a lot of questions that I think people generally have. I realize I could have done a video walking through literally every single point currency and saying, well, these points are worth this much, these ones are worth these much to me. And yeah, that might have been helpful, but that doesn't really teach you to fish. For a lot of my videos, I'm starting to try to help you guys learn how to fish and just understand the dynamics a bit more rather than just giving you the answer. Yes, I could answer how much this sign-up bonus is worth, but at this point, as someone who has watched multiple videos that I feel like I've answered a few times, you really should know this answer by now. One of my favorite quotes, I believe, comes from Jalen Rose. He says that people come into your life to either add, subtract, multiply, or divide. It's pretty easy for me to add value, but it's not going to be good for you long term. I'd rather help you guys multiply yourselves and do that because that scales a bit better. Teaching you to fish rather than handing you a fish. Hopefully that was helpful, and my question for you guys is, what are your thoughts on points? How do you think about things? Which of these choices would you have picked, or what are your answers? I'm guessing people might have answered throughout the video as well. Let me and the community know down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. It really helps us out. If you know anyone else who benefit from what we just talked about, feel free to share the video with them. It'll probably help them out. But otherwise, hope you guys liked it. See you guys next time.